Why would the All Blacks part ways with a peak-performing World Cup winning forward? Victor Vito wasn't past his prime. He wasn't injured. He was one of the most explosive and athletic loose forwards in New Zealand. And yet, he quietly slipped out of the black jersey into a European contract. No drama, no farewell tour, just gone. So how does a player like that walk away at the top of his game? The real story might surprise you. Victor Vito was born in Wellington and grew up in a proud Samoan family, surrounded by rugby. From a young age, it was clear this wasn't your average athlete. He was tall, fast, and explosive, a rare combination. In 2008, he exploded onto the scene during the Wellington Sevens. While most forwards were built for scrums and breakdowns, Vito moved like a winger. The rugby world took notice. By 2009, he was part of the dominant New Zealand under-20 squad that won the Junior World Cup Championship. People started calling him the next big thing. Some even compared him to Jerry Collins, the late All Blacks enforcer who also came out of Wellington. And just a year later, in 2010, Vito pulled on the black jersey for the first time in a test against Ireland. It looked like the time had arrived. But there was a problem, a big one, and his name was Jerome Kainoa. Kainoa was an immovable object in the number 6 jersey, powerful, experienced, and trusted by the coaches. No matter how talented Vito was, he wasn't going to take Kainoa's spot anytime soon. So the coaches shuffled Vito around, sometimes number 8, sometimes open side, sometimes on the bench. It was like they wanted him to fit somewhere, anywhere, but never really gave him the keys to own a position. Ironically, his biggest strength, his versatility, became his curse. Instead of being seen as world-class number 6, he was seen as a good option off the bench. Still, when the 2011 Rugby World Cup came around, Vito was picked. And he delivered. He played in 5 matches, came off the bench with real energy, and added value every time he stepped on the pitch. That All Blacks team won the World Cup on home soil, ending a 24-year-old drought. But even after that high, Vito still wasn't getting the trust that other players in his position seemed to get. All Blacks minutes were limited. He became a key figure in the Hurricane setup. From 2012 onward, he was their anchor. Line-out ball, big carries, crunching tackles, week in, week out. He did it all. Teammates loved him and coaches trusted him. And his form didn't go unnoticed. In 2015, he was recalled to the All Blacks for the Rugby World Cup. While not starting regular, he played a key role in the pool stages and helped the team go all the way, lifting the trophy for the second straight tournament. It was validation, proof that he could perform on the bigger stage. Then came 2016. At 29 years old, Vito hit his career best form. That year, he helped the Hurricanes secure their first ever Super Rugby title. His timing, physicality, and leadership had all come together. Naturally, fans and media expected that World Cup momentum, plus his domestic dominance to earn him a solid spot for the All Blacks moving forward. But strangely, that call never came. Steve Hansen and the selectors went in a different direction. Despite being at the top of his game, Vito wasn't brought back. No detailed explanation, no big farewell, just silence. The rugby world was stunned. He was a player clearly operating at an elite level, who'd proven himself on both the domestic and international stages, and he was being ignored. Speculation started flying. Was it personal? Did he not fit the All Black style? Some said he was too inconsistent. Others said his flashier European-style skill set didn't mesh with the All Black system at the time. But those were just theories. The truth was never fully revealed. So, Victor Vito made a decision. In 2016, he signed a contract with La Chorée in France's top 14 competition. And it wasn't just any deal. He was reportedly offered £500,000 to £700,000 per season, depending on bonuses and match appearances. That's roughly $950,000 New Zealand dollars to over $1 million per year. Far more than what New Zealand players could earn unless they were superstar starters. The choice was simple. If he wasn't going to be picked for the All Blacks, why stay in a system that didn't value him at his peak? Vito packed his bags, moved to France with his family, and started fresh. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. At La Chorée, he became a legend, a leader and a hero. The French club hadn't been a major force in European rugby before Vito arrived. But with him anchoring the pack, they began to rise. His calm presence on and off the field had developed a winning culture. Younger players looked up to him, coaches leaned on him, and the fans embraced him like they were one of their own. By 2022, La Chorée had become a European juggernaut, and they went on to win the European Rugby Championship Cup, the most prestigious club trophy in the Northern Hemisphere. And Vito wasn't just along for the ride. He was the central figure to that victory. His performances earned him the EPCR European Player of the Year award, a massive honour that proved he wasn't just thriving, he was dominating. In France, they called him the La Monstre du Picoleur, the monster from the Pacific. He wasn't just appreciated, he was adored. Ironically, he had become the kind of player New Zealand always feared losing. Someone who could have added 5 more years of dominance in the black, but they let him walk away. Back home, some fans watched him from afar, confused. Why had New Zealand Rugby allowed him to leave at such a pivotal moment in his career? Was it stubbornness? Was it politics within the selectors? Or just an honest misjudgment? Vito himself never lashed out publicly. He took the high road. In interviews, he just said he had no regrets and that moving to France allowed him to grow. Not just as a player, but as a person. He talked about how the culture shift had changed his perspective on his life. He learned French. He immersed himself in the community. He found joy outside of the All Blacks bubble. And with a massive salary, he was able to give his family a level of security that's hard to come by in New Zealand rugby unless you're a top-tier international. It's hard to say how many tests Vito should have had. He finished his All Blacks career with just 33 appearances. Not bad, but for a player of his talent, it feels short. Players with half the skill were given longer ropes. In hindsight, many believe he could have been one of the best loose forwards of his generation. What's especially interesting is how rare his skill set actually was. Vito was 6'4", over 110 kgs, but moved like a back. He had an offload game, pace, and a line-up presence all wrapped in one. In today's game, those kinds of players are gold. And yet, when he had all those tools in 2016, New Zealand Rugby looked the other way. Even now, years after his departure, the debate continues. Some fans argue that Vito was just unlucky to play in an era stacked with freakish loose forwards. Kainor, Reid, McCaw, Savia, Kane. Others say that's exactly why his versatility was needed, because he could plug gaps and add something different. But one thing's for sure, Victor Vito didn't just survive leaving the All Blacks. He thrived, on his own terms, in his own way. And maybe, just maybe, that makes him one of the most underrated players New Zealand Rugby has ever produced. And for fans watching it unfold from afar, it's hard not to think, did we let a superstar walk away right at his peak? Thanks for watching this deep dive into the legend of Victor Vito. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace!